Today, I'm pushing my creative limits to turn raw, everyday emotions into works of art. So the first emotion I'm going to be starting with is happiness or joy, and the color palette I'm going to be using is yellow, whether it's like muted yellow, light yellow, desaturated yellow, any kind of shade of yellow. And she's going to be in like a happy pose. It's going to be a girl, by the way, and I'm going to be doing like girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, and so that is like a bit of variety. And like her hair is going to be really curly, and it's going to be looking like it's like flowing or it's like going up, whatever you call that. And it's like her eyes are going to be closed in a nice energetic way. And yeah, at first with the rough sketch I was struggling with it because I kept flipping the canvas and then it kept looking a bit towards the side, and so I flipped it back to the normal and it looked like it was leaning too much to the side, and then I used the liquify tool to like fix that, but then I flipped it again and it was still looking to the side, and it was like an endless cycle, so I just gave up later on. I realized as I started to do the line art it was getting a bit easier, and because like I made it a bit more symmetrical and it was a bit straighter than the rough sketch. It definitely made the drawing look way better. By the way, this is off topic, but I got a new tablet recently, and so it's been making like my drawing process so much easier, because I used to be drawing on my phone, so I didn't have a stylus and I'd be drawing with my finger, and then whenever I want to draw it'd be really annoying because I know I had to use my finger. But now I have a tablet with a pen or stylus, and now I can just draw with a stylus and it's way easier now. Oh yeah, and now that I have a stylus to actually draw stuff better, it's way easier to draw like more detailed hair, so it looks way better. The hair looks much better now. And also for the coloring and the shading, I found a new shading style, and so what I do is I go to the color palette. So what I do is like I get the color of the skin, then I change the hue a bit, then I change the saturation and make it like lower or downer, whatever you call it, just a little bit, and then that's what I do for the shading. And for the hair, it took me like a while to do the shading because there were so many strands and it was so much detail, but like I said before, it's way easier because now I have a stylus to actually use. So for the clothes, I didn't really do that much shading for her clothes, but what I did is like I just used like gradients, and the clothes were just like a plain flat color. Then I used gradients to add just a little bit of depth to them. Then in the end I changed the line art color and just finished all the shading for the hair. I did some extra touches, and yeah, that's it for happiness. My next one is sadness, and like I said before, I'm doing girl, boy, girl, boy. So sadness is now going to be a boy, and I decided to use this hairstyle. It was a bit more stiff and less like luscious and detailed, so it was like in big chunks, and it definitely made it stand out because the rest of my drawings have like really detailed hair with like that has like lots of strands. So this one is definitely the simplest type of hair I did in this entire challenge. And so for this one, the color palette is going to be blue because that's like sadness. I think that's a sadness color in my opinion. And then so like in the end, this ended up kind of looking like sadness from inside out, just a boy. And so what I did is I added tears, I made him look sad, I made him look towards the side, and his picture is more of a head shot rather than like an upper body shot like the last one I did. And so like the eyes are going to be blue, there's going to be skin color that's blue, yeah, everything's going to be pretty much blue. The liner and the coloring and the shading, they were pretty straightforward. For the liner, I just traced over my rough sketch. For the coloring, I just had the base colors. For the shading, I just did the same technique I did for happiness, and I added like a bit more gradients on his hair to give it a bit more depth because it was definitely much simpler than what I wanted it to be. And I had him have like a simple outfit. It's just like a shirt on, since it's more of a head shot and it's not really showing much of his upper body. So yeah, that's sadness. Next is anger, and I think anger might be like one of my favorites for this challenge because I think she really turned out well. And yeah, for anger I'm doing a girl, and so the color palette is going to be red because that symbolizes anger in my opinion. So it's going to be like her skin color is going to be like a really light red, and then all like her hair and her outfit is going to be more of a dark red or like maybe normal red. And so her pose was like, she's like holding the camera. Let's just like say there's a camera taking her or a picture of her or something and she's angry, so she's like holding the camera. At least that's what I wanted it to look like. And so she's closing her eyes because she's looking really angry, and her hair is like in the air because I think she may be like shaking or doing something that makes her hair lift up, I don't know. And she has a very angry expression on her face. Her hair is going to be a bit shorter than like happiness, and it's going to be in 2 ponytails, so it's going to be in pigtails. And I think the hair turned out well. It was definitely like detailed, and it definitely took a lot of time to do the shading for that hair, but I think it turned out well in the end. So yeah, that's anger. The next emotion that I did was fear, and so for fear the color palette was white, so it was definitely simpler than all the other ones because there's only like one shade of white, obviously. And so the hairstyle that I did was also very detailed, and the shading I just used gray and like a gray that had a bit of blue in it for like the second layer of shading, because now I do 2 layers of shading instead of 1 for the hair to make it like a bit more depthful. For this one it shows more of his lower body, because for the other ones I just did the upper body or it was a head shot, so this one showed his legs a bit. And he's in a paralyzed position. Since it's fear, he's obviously going to be scared, so he looks like he's paralyzed with fear. And I made his pupils like small to show that he's scared, and he's holding on to himself because he's scared, and pretty much everything in this portrait just symbolizes how he's scared. So yeah, that's fear. For the last one, the color palette was more towards the cyan turquoise side. At first I wanted to do like green, but then that looked like disgust in Inside Out. And my first idea before all of this was doing orange, but that looks too much like anxiety from Inside Out 2. And so what I did is like I made it towards the turquoise side, and I think that looked good, even though it kind of looked like envy from Inside Out 2. Yeah, I think I'm including Inside Out 2 a lot in this video. And so she's like in a pose where maybe we as the audience she's like trying to pick us up. And tell me in the comments down below which emotion you think this is. Just giving you a clue, it starts with a C, so comment down below which emotion you think it is. And like, so as I was saying, her hands look like they're coming a bit towards us, like they're about to pick us up. At least that's what I wanted it to look like. And her hair is more towards the curly side. My first idea was doing it like half her like hair is shaved off, then the rest is like coming to the side. But then that wasn't really like the kind of like vibe I was going for because of this emotion. And so what I did is I just made her hair like flowing, and it was a bit curly. It was like curlier than the other 2 girls that I did, and she had bangs because the other 2 girls didn't have bangs, so I added bangs to her. And yeah, all the rest of the things were the same to the other drawings. I did the coloring, I did the shading of the hair took long because it's so detailed, and the color strands and stuff, blah de blah de blah. And yeah, that's this emotion. So here are all the 5 emotions that I drew in this video. And so comment down below which one is your favorite, and try to guess which one the last one was. Well, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like. And if you made it this far, consider subscribing. It would really boost my self-esteem. So yeah, I guess that's it. Bye.